Probably the thing that means the most to me is that a leader has got to like people. A leader has got to be able to take a group of people and move them a certain direction and towards a certain goal, but he's got to enjoy those people he's trying to take along those rides, and they have to enjoy him. Early on in my career, I did not understand the value of people. I understand the value of the job they were doing, but not them as human beings. So I've worked extremely hard to focus on people, that they're all different, they all have different needs, different motivations. So my mantra is to try to spend a lot of time with people, include them, mentor them, and also understand I can't do it without them. My style of leadership is what I called the Kojak style leadership. I just told them what to do and expected them to do it the way I would want them to do it. I understand that everybody does things differently. There's more than one way to do things. I didn't treat them with proper respect and dignity. Eventually someone called me to on the carpet in that regard, and I think it helped save my career. But I just saw them as an ends to the means to get the job done, and that's all I cared about. I used to have a license plate that read JGID, just get it done, and that's all I cared about, was getting the job done early on in my career. And obviously that style of leadership was ineffective. People did not feel valued, they did not feel invested, and so I think we've come 180 on that and realized that we're all on this journey together. Whatever success the organization is going to have, regardless of my title or what kind of credit I get in my bio, it has happened because a group of people were invested in the same journey and the same goals.
Do you see that in young leaders that you have to counsel in terms of, because you're trying to prove yourself, you need to have that get it done mentality maybe. What do you do when you see that in others?
I think you have to, just as somebody pointed out to me, Jeremy, what are you doing? It's no way to lead people. Well, I'll do the same thing. I'm very, one of our philosophies in our organization is that we're going to treat people with dignity and respect. I use this, I read this somewhere, so I stole it, but some corporation, they wanted to be known as gentle and kind. I use that a lot. I like that. I want to get the job done. I want to win. I want to be successful. But I want to be gentle and kind. I want to be kind to each other. I want to be kind to our athletes. I want to be kind to our fan base. And so when people aren't that way and people are stepping on people's toes and running over people, as I used to do, I'm going to call on the carpet. It's not acceptable. It is not conducive to success. It's not conducive to a culture where people want to be there and be involved in our program. And so the way you deal with that is, like I said, just as somebody called me to my attention, I called to their attention.
Excellent. On the subject of learning, how important is it to have continuous learning as it pertains to individuals, teams, and organizations? Always be learning.
Well, again, this is the only business I've ever been in, so this, the only frame of reference I have is this one. But, if you're not learning and changing and evolving and self-evaluating and listening, I think you're doomed for failure, especially the self-evaluation part. In our business, in my business, you really get caught up when you're winning. Everybody's telling you how great you are, and if you win a lot, and we've had a lot of success at the University of Florida, if you start believing all that, I think it makes you less effective as a leader. One of the things I worry about all the time is complacency. My staff gets tired of hearing me talk about it. But leaders who become complacent, leaders who don't self-evaluate, I don't do anything wrong. That's somebody else. I don't have the ability to self-evaluate. How do you grow and how do you change? And I just think an effective leader has got to learn, self-evaluate, got to be willing to raise their hand and say they made a mistake. They have got to be willing to recognize that other people really are responsible for any success the organization is having. But learning obviously is a total key. If I hadn't learned the lesson I just talked to you about a little while ago in terms of treating people the right way, I don't think I'm in the leadership position I'm in today, because I wasn't leading people, I was just pushing them. I was pushing them to get jobs done. And somebody pointed out to me, and I took it to heart. I self-evaluated and I realized, something? They're right. They're right. And I think my ability to self-evaluate in that particular situation helped me to learn how to be a better leader.
Do you ever even feel like you're at some sort of plateau as a leader because you run things the same way, but then you have to, how can you challenge yourself after that many years to still be a better leader?
Well, because it's important to me. The University of Florida is really important to me. I think anybody who's in a leadership role in a competitive business like we're in doesn't like to fail. You know, I've failed a number of times in my career, and that motivates you because you don't want to do it again. You know, you make a coaching hire that doesn't work out, you failed. You know, you make a decision that doesn't work out, you failed. So I don't like letting the University of Florida down. I don't like letting people down. I don't like letting, you know, the program down. So fear of failure is a huge motivator for me. Plus, I like what I do, and I like the University of Florida, and I like, you know, I feel a great responsibility to ensure that that program and that university continues to have success. So that's a motivating factor. If I start thinking, you know, I got this all figured out, and you know, look how good we are, and look how good I am, I probably won't be sitting in that chair very long because there's an accident waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of my next questions, how do you use past failures to create momentum in a change situation, and what role does failure play in the planning process for making changes?
Well, again, you have to learn from your failures. You know, I think a John Wooden quote, you know, failure is not fatal. Failure to change is fatal. So if you keep trying to do the same things, you know, you're going to let the organization down. You know, effective leaders have got to admit their failures. You know, they have got to be willing to look in the mirror and say, you know, that's on me, and we better change. You know, I'll give you a perfect example. When I first became athletic director, I used to hire all the coaches myself. I was the AD. I was going to get in their plane. I was going to go hire them. First coach I ever hired was Billy Donovan. All right, and obviously Billy Donovan had a tremendous career. He's a Hall of Fame basketball coach, and so I hit a home run the first time around. And I thought I could keep hitting home runs by myself. And to be honest with you, I kept hiring coaches that just turned out to be okay in a multitude of different sports. When I finally realized, well, why is this happening? Well, the reason it was happening is I was trying to do it all by myself. And I realized when I got more people in the room, not, you know, my staff, to help vet, to discuss, you know, to figure out where we were going, we started hiring a bunch of good coaches. And college athletics is a coach's business. You have good coaches, you can have a good athletic program. But if I had not recognized that failure, I'm not sure where we are today. And so I just think anybody in a leadership role has got to recognize, you know, failures. I mean, we hired a football coach several years ago, did not work out, you know. After, what did we do wrong? What did I do wrong? You're darn right. When I hired the next one, I've tried to figure out what I did wrong in the last time. Because if not, you're going to fail again. So failure is a motivating factor, as I said earlier, but also it's a teaching tool, you know. And we all fail. I mean, some people don't like to, nobody likes to fail, but everybody does. And at the end of the day, if you take a failure and evaluate why it happened and make positive changes, your organization can be better for it.
Okay. In terms of communication, you know, great teams always consist of differing individual goals and styles. How can, you know, conflict be managed to create team harmony? That's obviously a big thing in your business, team harmony. You know, balancing those individual goals with team goals.
Well, I think again it's something my chair has to stress that the team goals have to come first. You know, and also I think part of my job is to build a culture where, you know, discord is okay. You know, people disagreeing is okay. Reasonable people will disagree. Different ideas are okay, but you have to be able to manage that. You know, one thing if people get upset because their ideas aren't heard or their idea wasn't accepted, then that becomes about their ego. You know, so part of my job is to always remind people, and even myself, that at the end of the day, we're there for one reason, and that's try to help the University of Florida athletic program be as good as it can be, okay? I think the way you increase team harmony is you spend a lot of time together, you have fun together, you work together. I don't think it all just the only time you see your co-workers is, you know, when the doors open up in the morning, you know, doing things together, going to games together. I think the fact that we have a very inclusive style of management, you know, I don't mind making decisions. I'll make decisions. Leaders have to make decisions. But as I said earlier, I'm going to get a lot of people giving me input. All right? And I think when you include people, that creates team harmony as well. I think when you value what they do by taking care of them as much as you can, by complimenting them, by recognizing them, by giving them other opportunities, by mentoring them, by, you know, recognizing their value to the organization, I think that creates team harmony. I think that's all part of the deal. But at the end of the day, what I have to do is convince a group of people that this is good, your ideas are good, but we're all here for the University of Florida. And whatever it's going to take for us to be successful as an organization, that's my job to convey them and to convey that to them.
Last question on the subject of leading high-performance teams. How does commitment, capacity, and character of team members drive results? You've been kind of talking about some of that. But
Well, obviously, any organization, one of our linchpins of our, organization is integrity. So the character part of what we do is really important. I think there's an expectation, certainly on an academic campus, that you're going to be role models. You can do things the right way. Doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. Obviously, you're not going to be successful in any organization unless people are totally committed, totally invested. You have to be invested in what you do. It's got to be really important to you. You got to have a passion for it. But if you have someone who has high character, who's totally committed to the enterprise, is passionate about the profession, you're going to drive some results. Because your athletes are going to see that, your institution's going to see that, the coaches you're trying to hire are going to see that, the people you're trying to hire are going to see that. People want to be part of that type of environment. And so, again, people who aren't committed and they just do things halfway, well, you're going to have halfway results. You have people who take shortcuts and they, their character sometimes, they make decisions based on winning and losing versus what's right. Eventually that's all going to back up on you, right? So you've got to insist on the character part, the integrity part, the commitment part, the investment part. You have to do that. I have to do that. Our coaches have to do that. And everybody has to buy into that, okay? And that's not buying into, they're not saying their ideas. You have your ideas. You have a job. I'm going to give you more authority, more responsibility. I'm going to pay you. But you got to do it within these parameters, right? If you're going to work at our place, you have to have high character. You have to be committed. You have to be invested in the University of Florida. And again, you have enough people like that in your organization, you're going to drive some really positive results.